Welcome to this YSL Microsoft Excel tutorial. In this video, we're going to look at how to use the transpose function. We'll start by showing how to transpose a row to a column and then a column to a row, and also how to transpose multiple rows and columns at the same time. To finish the video, we'll look at how to use the transpose function with other functions such as sort, unique, and XLOOKUP. So it's quite a short one, but let's get started. For this example, we'll be working with a list of the top 10 highest grossing movies. If you'd like a copy of the same data so that you can follow along with the video, you'll find a link in the description which allows you to download the same file that I'm working on here. The job of the transpose function is to take a set of data and convert the columns into rows or the rows into columns depending on which way you look at it. And it's an incredibly simple function to use. It only has a single parameter. So just for the first example, let's say I wanted to take this row of column headers and convert that into a column of row headers instead. I'm going to head into cell H2 and type in a function equals transpose, and then I want to reference the single array. You can see there's a single parameter for the function called array, and I'm going to reference cells A2 to F2, close the round brackets, and then hit enter to get my row transposed to a column. It's just as simple to transpose a column into a row. Let's say that I wanted to convert this column of certificates into a row of certificates instead. Let's pick another cell somewhere further down the worksheet. I'll go for cell I10, and in here I can say equals transpose, and then this time reference a column of values rather than a row, and that column then becomes a row. And as you may well have guessed by now, it's equally simple to transpose multiple rows and multiple columns at the same time. If I head back to the formula I entered into cell H2, I'm going to edit that formula so that we're not just transposing cells A2 to F2, we're transposing cells A2 to F12, so the entire table of film data. If I hit enter now, we'll find the entire thing is flipped from columns to rows or rows to columns, again depending on which way you look at it. Much like every other function in Excel, the transpose function becomes more useful when you start combining it with other functions. So let's just go back to our row of certificate names, and let's imagine I only wanted to see one copy of each certificate in this list. To do that, we could nest the unique function inside the transpose function. I'll edit the formula in cell I10, and I'll, inside the transpose function, nest the unique function, and just wrap a new set of round brackets around my cell references there. We have a separate video on how the unique function works in case you're interested in more details, but this simple example will be sufficient for now. We could also sort those results so that the 12A certificate comes first and then PG and then U, so sort them alphabetically. And again, to do that, I can nest another function inside the transpose function. So I'll edit the formula in cell I10 again, and then I can wrap the sort function around the unique function, both of which are nested inside the transpose function. So having done that, we've now got a nice sorted list of unique certificate names. This sort of thing can be useful if you were trying to create, say, a matrix of conditional aggregates. So let's say, for example, I wanted to find the total gross for films for each combination of genre and certificate. I've already got the column headers there for my certificate names. Let's generate a set of row headers for my genre names. So in cell H11, I'm going to say equals sort unique. So I won't use the transpose function this time. I want to generate row headers. So I'm going to reference cells E3 to E12, close a couple of sets of round brackets and then hit enter. What I can then do is use, say, the SUMIFS function in cell I11. I'm going to say equals SUMIFS, and my sum range is going to be the gross, so that's C3 to C12. My first criteria range is going to be the genre column from the original list, and the criteria for that column will be supplied by the values in this dynamic array. So I'm going to reference cell H11 and then type in a hash symbol after it to reference the entire spilled array. If you're not familiar with spilled arrays, by the way, we do have a separate video on that as well, which I'd recommend if you need a bit of a primer on how these work. So there's my first set of criteria, one more comma. My second criteria range is going to be the certificate list, so that's cell F3 to F12. And finally, the second criteria range will be applied or supplied by cell I10 and then the entire dynamic array, so I10 hash. If I then close the round brackets and hit enter, I'll get my complete array populated, summing all the films with an action genre in the 12A certificate and so on through the entire matrix. Just a bit of tidying up to make this look a little bit neater, a bit of format painting, I think. And then that thing doesn't look too bad at all. You can also nest more sophisticated functions in the transpose function. To demonstrate this, I'm going to head back to my table of transposed films, and I'm going to modify the formula in cell H2 again, so that we get just the list of column headers. So I'm going to transpose cells A2 to F2 from a row into a column. Now I might like to be able to type in the number for the rank of the film that I want to return. So let's say if I wanted to return item number 5 from the list. I want to take the title, gross, year, genre and certificate and populate that column of cells there. There are several ways we could do this, but the main function I'm going to use here is the XLOOKUP function. Again, we'll have a separate video that goes into detail on the XLOOKUP function. For now, here's just the basics. In cell I3, I'm going to say equals XLOOKUP. The value I'm going to look up is the value in cell I2, so the number 5. The array of cells that I'm going to look for that value is cells A3 to A12. And then finally, the return array is going to be everything from cell B3 to F12. If I just close the round brackets at this point, that's going to return all the values from cell B7 to F7. So the 5th item in that list is Avengers Endgame. So if I hit enter, that's exactly what I get. But of course I wanted that transposed from a row into a column. So I can just wrap the transpose function around my XLOOKUP function to get that fairly complex set of results, simply converted from a row into a column. A little bit of tidying up again, maybe with a quick format paint, and there we go, that doesn't look too bad. I can then edit the rank number in cell I2 to get a different set of results each time I type in a different number. So there you go, some basic examples of how to use the transpose function. Nothing particularly complicated, but hopefully it gives you a few ideas of where you can use it. Thanks very much for watching, see you next time.